Hi, welcome to Radio Out There. I'm Barry Eaton. And this week, we talk about the return of the Cosmic Consciousness Conference at Uluru. I have lovely memories of the first conference because I emceed it along with the second one and was interrupted after that by COVID. But we are now going to talk to one of the organisers, Kathryn Hand, who, along with Mick Turner, have put together the Cosmic Consciousness Conference. The last couple of years, it's been at Norfolk, but now it's back to Uluru. Lots of wonderful speakers and events. Kathryn Hand coming up this week on Radio Out There. Kathryn, hi, how are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me back on Radio Out There.
It's been a while, isn't it?
It has.
We talked in the early days of the conference because I was involved as the MC and a speaker and whatever. So that goes back. We're having an anniversary now. What, around a 4 or 5 year anniversary?
When we are back there for this solstice in December, it will be 4 years exactly that we were there for the Age of Aquarius.
That's right. I have it written here. 4 years to the day since the dawn of Aquarius event.
Yep.
Very appropriate too, because before we start talking about the conference this year, Pluto goes into Aquarius full time just a couple of weeks beforehand. So Aquarius is there to be a very large supporter. We can talk about that a bit more as we go through there, but that will help a lot.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about that. Just today, I got a message from someone saying, Kathryn, did you know that Pluto is moving permanently into Aquarius? And I said, I only just heard about it. So I'd love to hear more about your thoughts on that.
Oh, I will. Don't worry. I've been talking about it on my program for a while now. But
yeah.
The third week of November, it goes into... the fourth week, of November, it goes permanently into Aquarius, and it will be there right through the conference and for the next 20-odd years as well.
Yeah.
But big transformation, Pluto transformation, more later. Okay, So let's talk about the Cosmic Consciousness Conference. We first started off in 2019, and of course at Uluru. You're still at Uluru, of course.
We are. This will be our fifth one at Uluru. We had to take one of them online. That would have been 2021, when it was very hard to get into the Northern Territory. So we took that one online, and then we have done two of them on Norfolk Island. And now we feel that it's time to get back to Uluru again. And in fact, Mick and I both woke up and through the night had the same
download
information or same urge or the same idea that we would have a reunion event in Uluru. So we thought it's got to happen.
Well, when Spirit contacts you like that, they do it with me all the time in the middle of the night. I've downloads for years. Once you accept that we all get downloads, sometimes we think it's only a dream, but we get downloads and work on that, it's to your benefit and everybody else's benefit as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we didn't sort of know what date we would choose because, you know, the Age of Aquarius was such a huge moment in time, a massive cosmological event. And so we thought as it was a reunion event that we would just hold it at the same time. And a lot of people liked that because they're already kind of getting into holiday mode. They might easily be able to get time off work. And a lot of people stayed on for Christmas, and we had a Soul Family Christmas lunch in Uluru. So we just thought we'll do it for the same time period. But as always happens, and things moved on, we began to realize that yet again, there's a really significant event happening this time, not so much with the cosmos, although you've now told me about the astrological significance, but we found out that the ley lines are moving into permanent harmony this solstice. So we went,
tell us about that.
Wow.
We know that, well, most people do, but just for the sake of my viewers and listeners, the ley lines, very important at Uluru. It's a significant part of the earth, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, well, of course, the song lines are so important to the Indigenous people. In fact, we've got Dr. Shauna Bostock, who you'll probably remember, Barry, spoke at one of our events. I'm not sure if it was the one that you didn't make it to because you got kicked off the plane.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, along with a few other of our team. But she's talking about the song lines and even going deeper than the song lines, that talking about the mycelium that connects everything underground. And her uncle was a shaman, a Karaji man. I'm probably not saying that right. Indigenous shaman, and he used to say that we do spend a lot of time looking to the cosmos and looking to the stars for our guidance and our connection, but he used to remind people that to look below as well. And so the ley lines are such an important part. We have the grid point 44 down at the Flinders Ranges, and the grid points are very significant connections where a whole bunch of ley lines come together. And they're often in the ocean. So, for example, the Bermuda Triangle is a grid point. There's one just above us here on Norfolk Island up in the South Pacific, and that actually connects down to the Flinders Ranges. And then, of course, you get a starburst of ley lines that move out from that point. And one of them goes up directly to Uluru, and then it continues on to Bali, which is the purification center of the world. And so, we can tap into the energy of the ley lines. And so we're going to find out more about the permanent harmony that the ley lines will be moving into from one of our speakers called Rachel Vaughan. And Rachel Vaughan can see ley lines, she can see portals, and so she's saying
when
that over the years,
for the benefit of our audience, when you say see, she actually visualizes it, that they don't sort of appear in solid form in front of her eyes.
Yeah, she can actually see the energy, and she can actually see a round portal.
Right.
And she's going to be teaching everyone at the conference how to do that themselves.
Good.
So she can literally see it. She can even see them when she looks at photos. So really interesting. So she's been studying the work of a geobiologist called Rory Duff, and Rory has been talking about how the ley lines have come into harmony for little periods of time every solstice and every equinox. And over the years, that harmony period has sort of expanded. And so this December, they'll move into permanent harmony. So,
permanent.
Whether this is when we move into 5G or, it feels like we are moving into a monumental shift anyway. It's going to be a very advanced sort of progression into ascension. So exciting times.
Well, we've had these prophecies for a long time now that this is a time of transformation. So you're building up basically what has been around is Indigenous, and various other prophets have said that now very big time of change.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really exciting. Judy Satori, another one of our speakers, she is an energy healer. She works with all sorts of high energies, galactic energy. She's been working with some dragon energy. She has developed a reputation around the world for bringing phenomenal healing through for people with the light codes and the star language and all that sort of thing. And when we were talking, she was just getting a download as we were speaking, and she was saying, Kathryn, I am being told that some highly, highly advanced frequencies will come through. And we need the light workers there at Uluru to be able to help sort of bring in these highly advanced frequencies from really advanced beings for our next major advancement forward. So we're kind of getting these validations from everywhere that we're moving into really significant change.
Well, Judy is able to communicate at a very universal level, doesn't she?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So, I've never seen Judy's work. Judy doesn't speak at a lot of conferences. She mainly focuses on her own workshops. So we're very privileged to be able to have her. And, it's funny, we invited her and she was, sort of thinking about it, but a little bit non-committal. And then she went to Uluru herself, and she just emailed me from Uluru and said, Kathryn, I've just been told I've got to be here for the Cosmic Consciousness Conference. So we were like, yay.
Well done. Well, her talk is called Awakening the Rainbow Serpent. So she's very much connected to the area, isn't she?
Yes, she is. Yeah. And she's been there several times now and fairly recently as well. I think she was there only a matter of months ago as well. So she'll be there before, for many days before the conference, and just tuning into the energies and letting it all percolate and prepared. So yeah, it'll be great.
Well, we should explain for listeners and viewers in other countries as well. Rainbow Serpent is part of the Aboriginal tradition, culture, and the what we call the dreaming. But it's not just a snake with lots of different colours on it. It's very symbolic.
It is, yeah. And we've got one of the Indigenous park rangers out at Uluru, Cyril McKenzie, and he'll be talking about that a little bit. He's also a Nankari healer, and so he'll be there to do one-on-one healings with people. So he'll share a little bit about the Indigenous Dreamtime stories, including the Rainbow Serpent, and giving people healings. We'll have another Nankari healer there as well, and for people, that's quite a big deal to be able to have the chance to have a one-on-one session with these traditional healers, because we're living in the cities, we don't get the opportunity to. But there's a doctor called Clay Spencer. He'll be speaking at the conference, and he has been working with these traditional healers and now got a program sorted out so that these Nankari healers can go into hospitals. More commonly, they're in regional areas, but they have been in Adelaide in some of the big hospitals. They've done double-blind testing on all of them. They've got about 200 healers now that work within their. Go and have a.
I'm losing you there, Kathryn. We're talking about the Nankari healers going into hospitals. but we've lost contact at the
Quite
present time.
amazing. So, yeah, we're very fortunate to have Cyril and another healer. We're not sure who exactly yet at this point, but Clay Spencer will talk a little bit about how he's got that program and how they work, because they work, you know, with energy. They pull out all sorts of negative entities and, you know, yucky energy and that kind of thing. So people have had, again, very miraculous healings.
So when you say Nankari, is that their mob, their tribe, or what?
I think no, because I think look, that's a good question, actually, Barry. I think that they are from different mobs, but they must have a word for the healers that they've used across different mobs. But a good question. I'm kind of making that up, really, because I'm not 100% sure.
Well, maybe it is a type of healing that they do.
It could well be. Yeah.
Anyway, I was very interested to read about the Nankari healers. So, but there's so many wonderful speakers you have there, but such a wide variety as well. And the theme seems to have changed since the first couple of hours emceeing for, and there was a lot out from the cosmic side of things. Now there seems to be a lot more attached to us here on Earth, and part of Uluru and part of the, I don't know, the Earth energy. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, every event, as you know, it just seems to take on its own energy. And I've said to a lot of people that over the years, I've realized that, to me, the conference feels like it's its own living being, you know. And in fact, one of our speakers, David Bumblebee, he said, I think what you're describing is an egregore. And I hadn't heard that word before, but when I looked it up, it means that it's something that has its own energy and its own spirit.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. And so, yeah, these events, they really do sort of just start to come along, and the speakers come along, and there's certainly an amazing magic and synchronicity that happens, and the speakers tend to, you know, I mean, you've experienced it. They just kind of seem to build it on each other, and so often it's as if they've all got together and planned everything, but of course they haven't. I think we've got divine intervention that just brings forth what that particular audience must need to hear.
I think, yes, you're right. I think spirit has a lot to do with putting all these people together at the right time.
Yeah.
They want a universal message, and that's what we are here to help with.
That's a really good way of putting it, Barry. It is.
Now, let's talk about, I love the guy's name, David Bumblebee. Now, is that his real name?
Just attract a really beautiful bunch of
Kathryn, can we stop?
Yeah.
I'm losing you. You're breaking up a lot. I'll ask that question again. I'll have to edit.
Okay.
Kathryn, David Bumblebee. What a wonderful name. I don't know whether that was a pseudonym or a real name, because he was a former chemist. Tell me a bit about David Bumblebee.
Oh, well, he is. He's only really just come out of the closet into his spiritual self. And so I think that at this stage, he is just protecting perhaps his professional, his scientific professional side. But we actually had him speak at one of our Norfolk events, and he blew everyone away. It was the first time that he'd ever done a public speech and a presentation. But he also, this goes to show you, one of our speakers was Jason Brashears, and we actually zoomed Jason in, and a lot of your listeners would probably know of Jason by now. He's got a huge following.
What was his theme?
His theme is alternative history.
Okay. Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. And so, David actually hopped up on the microphone and put a question to Jason, and I can't remember what it is now, but Jason then published that presentation that he did for our conference. And I've had about 6 people contact me wanting to contact David just based on the one question that he put to to Jason.
Right.
So it goes to show that, you know, he's obviously got something important to share, but so he's going to talk about the impact that the solar flares and the solar storms are having on us, and how we, particularly as light workers, can interact with them to increase and enhance our intuition and our psychic abilities, and how, you know, our third eye opens up and all that kind of thing. Really interesting guy. He talks about us having our cosmic antenna that can, you know, tune into these frequencies. So very interesting.
Well, I like his background because as a former chemist who has a spiritual awakening, now he combines science and also spirituality. And I think this is where we must head for the future, to combine both. They're not both worlds. They are just all part of our world, part of the universe. We have to accept it.
Exactly. A lot of the things that we know intuitively or through our metaphysical studies, and so he's finding himself constantly surprised, I suppose, that a lot of what we say as spiritual people, he can now back up with scientific methods and scientific knowledge.
Right.
So it is he calls himself a cross-pollinator.
Well, that's why his name's Bumblebee, I suppose.
Exactly.
I love that name.
Yeah.
I just wonder, if it's not his birth name, why he chose Bumblebee.
Well, maybe that's it, because he calls himself a cross-pollinator. I hadn't thought of that, Barry, but I think you're probably right.
Love it. The idea. So you got 21 speakers in all over 3 days.
Yep, it's going to be pretty intense, very busy, but you know, people can sleep when they get home.
Well, Christmas time coming straight away afterwards. By the way, it's on from the 20th to the 22nd of December. We'll talk more about those details a bit later. But let's talk about some of the other people that are there, because you've got such a range of speakers. A couple of people I know quite well, but tell me about Phoenix, the hypnotist mentalist, who's going to talk about remote viewing and do all sorts of audience stuff as well.
Yeah. Phoenix is a really interesting guy. You know, you would think that just that sort of your initial look at, say, his website, that he's one of those classic stage hypnotists. And, you know, I love a good stage hypnosis show. And as a hypnotherapist myself, as are you, I know that what they have good skills. They've got really you know, initial amazing skills to be able to get people into that state and that sort of thing. So some people think that it's all an act, but I don't. I know that what they do is real. And it's fun, you know, some of them can be funny, but we then got chatting to Phoenix, and we discovered that he's done a lot of training and does a lot of healing work. He runs a huge UFO group, and he's a really quite a deep guy. And so he's coming to do a presentation. He's coming to do a stage hypnosis show as well. So that'll be the night before the conference starts. So it'll be a fun way to bond and have a laugh and keep it light and that sort of thing. Because as you know, the next 3 days get pretty intense, and so it's a good way to kick things off. But you know, I mean, 20 odd years ago, the CIA released through freedom, someone doing a freedom of information, the CIA released their information on the Gateway program that their operatives had used. And of course, a big component of that was hypnosis. But it was quite intriguing. I really encourage people to do a bit of research on it, because they looked at things like time-space dimension. They looked at the obviously out of body and remote viewing. They looked at the torus field and the holographic nature of our universe. They looked at the hemisync frequencies to balance out our brain waves. And they even looked at using color frequency to help with healing because of the frequency of color. And in fact, one of our speakers did a presentation on it at our last event, and he's coming back this event too, but to talk about a different matter. So Phoenix is going to talk a little bit about that because he did a lot of training through that. I think the Monroe Institute sort of took a lot of the CIA information and sort of put it into their gateway experience workshops and that kind of thing. But yeah, he'll be doing a very interactive presentation, and I'm imagining that he might pull some people up on stage and he might help them with a change of their mindset for certain things. So he'll be fascinating and a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, I want to over the next couple of months, I want to have a couple of speakers on to have a chat to them before the conference, obviously. And definitely, I want to talk to him.
Yeah.
Is he in Australia or what?
What was that?
Is he in Australia or what?
Yes.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I can't think off the top of my head where he's based, but
that's all right. No problem.
Yeah.
But I was wondering whether are there any overseas speakers or is everybody from local?
Yeah, we've got Judy coming from New Zealand, and also Joanna Walden is coming from New Zealand as well. We've got Dr. Brian Artis, but we are zooming him in from he's in Texas, so he'll be the only one that we're zooming in. We do have Andrew Lewis, who's doing the spiritual tapping. He's coming from Italy. He's a really well-known EFT practitioner in Italy. So
all right, let's talk about spiritual tapping. What does that involve?
Well, I mean, I've been looking, because I'm an EFT practitioner myself, and I've been looking for an EFT practitioner to come to the conference for many years, but I wanted to get someone with the right fit for our audience. And so for a lot of people who know EFT, which means emotional freedom technique,
right?
And it's where you're tapping on the meridian points on your body, and it's a very powerful but very simple tool to help release trapped emotions, trapped energy, limiting beliefs, traumatic memories, all that sort of thing.
Oh, it works. I've had it myself. It's very, very powerful.
It is. It really is. But Andrew takes it next level, in my opinion, where he helps people use tapping to really connect into their higher self and connect in to the universe, and to really sort of release themselves from the matrix. I mean, I don't know if he would describe it like that. He's got a video out where he talks about it a little bit more. And when he explained to me what he's doing, I was just blown away. I thought we've got to have this at the event. It will really fit in with our audience and the we have people that have worked so much on themselves and their spiritual growth and their emotional growth, and so I felt that this would meet them at their level, because a lot of them have been on this ascension path, and for a long, long time they're quite highly advanced in their ability to heal themselves and their ability to have awareness about themselves. So I think the audience will really get a lot out of this.
That's interesting, because I did an interview with an EFT specialist a long time ago. Haven't heard much about it at all in recent times. So is this a resurgence, do you think?
No, I think EFT is growing and growing. Yeah,
Cool.
I think that it's getting bigger and bigger. It's becoming more and more mainstream. Most psychologists are now taught EFT in their training, and a lot of them are using it in their practice. So I think that you'll just see it coming into the mainstream more and more, in my opinion.
Yeah, good one.
Mm.
As
Yeah.
I said, I want to get a couple of the speakers on the program in the next month or 2 months. But I see that my old friends Steve and Evan Strong are there, and I've worked with them on and off for quite a few years now. They're wonderful. So they really bring the whole Aboriginal area to life, because they do so much wonderful research in that area. So what are they going to be talking about?
Well, as you know, they were involved in our ceremony and were a big part of it in the as we came into the age of Aquarius. And they have captured a lot of the evidence from all around the world. They've estimated that we had about 1 million people tune into our ceremony, and they've had countless videos and emails about what people experienced who were there and present wherever they were in the world. So they're going to be sharing the details of that. So that'll be really interesting. They shared a little bit at the conference last time, but of course it was only a day's worth, of content that they were looking at. So now 4 years down the track, they've compiled a whole lot more evidence of what went on for people, all sorts of phenomenon and weird anomalies and strange happenings. So that'll be interesting. But then they'll also be talking about some skulls and some archaeological findings that they've got. And something I'm really interested in is that they're going to be talking about what they call soul language or spirit language. And this is apparently the first language that was spoken on this planet. It originated here in Australia with the assistance of some ETs. And they say that, speaking these words aloud is really an act of ascension, and it will just help people to lead, to new paradigms and have shifts for the earthly ascension that's coming. So I'm so keen to hear about that.
Oh, they're wonderful. Great people to work with.
Yeah.
Well, it's a very interesting time, as we mentioned at the very start of our chat, that times are changing astrologically, cosmic consciousness we're talking about here. And you wanted to find out a bit about Pluto.
Yes, tell me more.
Well, my first talk that I gave at the conference in 2019 and then in the start of 2020 was about involving the major planets. Now, Pluto is the planet we associate with transformation, the death of the old for the birth of the new. And that is so important. I mean, you're a past life expert. You know what it is, the past. We move through times. Now, Pluto takes ages to go through. It takes 245 years, Earth years, to go all the way around and come back to where it was at that particular time, the starting point. So Pluto being transformation has been for the last, I don't know, 15 more years, 20 odd years, in the sign of Capricorn. And Capricorn is about authority, control, structure, governments, all that sort of stuff. So, and Pluto we associate with Scorpio, and Scorpio can be about control as well and manipulation. So what have we had since, well, most of this millennium so far? Control, manipulation from large authorities, everywhere from big pharma to big government to all, well, I'm not going to go into the whole political spectrum here. I'm sure most people will know.
Yeah.
So the fact that it is now about to move on out of this area It dipped out a little bit earlier this year, and we got a taste of what's going to come. But it's back in there now, virtually, for the last few weeks of Capricorn. So this is where authoritarianism will start to really rear its head, one final burst. But it all ends after the first 3 weeks of November, and then Pluto goes into Aquarius. Now, the last time it was there was 245 years ago, and we'll learn from the cycles of history. And this time, we're talking about 245 years ago. What happened? The French Revolution, the Industrial Revolution. People stood up against authority and authoritarianism. We're now seeing this. People standing up all around the world. Of course, in those days, French Revolution, it was all local because they didn't have digital communication. So now, once we get into the whole area of Pluto and Aquarius full time, it covers not only the people, but also Aquarius relates to technology. So we're going to have a transformation as far as technology is concerned. We've already seen a glimpse with AI, but we're going to have this explosion of technology. And it's going to be there until the early 2040s. So we can expect, hopefully, we can expect those people who are authoritarian to get a right boot up the backside, or whatever else they deserve, get them out of the way, stop the fear-mongering, get away, and let people start to make up their own mind. Freedom of speech, all of these things will start to now be coming under the microscope. Instead of being told what to do, we are now wanting people who work with us, not control us. So that is the start. So this is happening right at the conference time. So you're going to be right at the beginning. So it's once again, as we said 4 years ago, the dawn of Aquarius. Now the dawn of Pluto in Aquarius. Wonderful times.
Such good news. Very good news.
Yeah. Well, we have to be careful we don't go too far as far as AI and things like that are concerned. But yeah, if it's under control, if it's looked after properly, and people are taken into account, and not just large companies, organizations, politicians, and globalists, then we can move on as a humanity. And that's the most important thing, I think.
Yeah. And a conscious use of AI. You know, I think that's the difference when it's like anything, if you're consciously partaking of something as opposed to just doing it blindly and unconsciously, it can be a very different experience.
Very much so. Very much. So there you are. Once the conference starts, Pluto will have been there for a few weeks, still early days, but you'll be there for a while. So let's talk about for people who want to go to the conference. That's the most important thing. If you've never been to Uluru, go, I say. It's fantastic. I loved the couple of visits we had there. Absolutely. So did my partner, Anne. And, well, it's happening on the 22nd of December. I know it's only just the start of September now, but why? Tell me about it and why people need to start making up their mind right now and making bookings, because the weeks will disappear quickly, won't they?
Well, exactly. Unfortunately, we're not the only people at Uluru. So it's open again to the international audience. So we want people to book their accommodation so that they know they've got somewhere to stay. There is plenty of different budget choices. So if people are on a really tight budget, there's backpackers. They can even camp, which is lovely, camping out under the stars. But there's there's budget hotels, and then you've got everything through to if they want to indulge in a 5-star hotel, they can do that. So, book their accommodation. They can book it through our website. They don't have to pay for it up front. They can just hold it and reserve it. They've got up until about 35 days before the conference, before they have to pay it. And then, they can drive to Uluru. We've driven the last 2 times. We love it. It's just a way to sort of totally, tune off, and you're driving without any Wi-Fi, so you can really just go into your own sort of meditation zone on these long drives and stopping at key little country towns along the way. But of course, a lot of people want to fly in. And it's pretty cheap to get a return flight to Uluru. Virgin and Jetstar fly there. And just one thing I'll say to people, make sure that you fly into Uluru, to Ayers Rock Airport, not Alice Springs, because people think that Alice Springs is nearby, but it's a 5-hour drive.
That's right. Let's talk about the conference itself, though, and what people get, and they can, of course, look at the website, but just give us a little bit of a taste of what life will be like there at that time.
Oh, well, I mean, people have had profound transformation in so many different ways. And, the emails that we get in just saying, Kathryn, my whole life has shifted. I'll give you a great example. Tim and Elise, who are sound healers coming to the conference, they met at the conference.
I know, I was there. I emceed their engagement.
That's it. Our first ever cosmic engagement up on stage. Elise had no idea she was about to be proposed to.
That's right.
And now they're working as sound healers. They've both ditched their jobs. They've been working as sound healers for the past 5 years, doing, great things in the world for helping humanity heal and all that sort of thing. Their life has totally done, a complete change. They've just had a baby a couple of years back.
I know.
So that's the kind of thing. I mean, not saying that everyone's going to meet their twin flame and have a baby, but people do go on to greatly transform their lives. I would say probably the biggest thing is people fulfilling their mission, fulfilling their soul contract and really stepping into who they are. Yeah.
Well, that's what it's about. And you also have a wonderful time there, because there's all sorts of not only speakers, but events and other things to look at and meet new people, all sorts of things like that. Now, I have got a special discount that you are offering, and if people come on and book, you've offered us a discount for listeners and viewers to radio out there. So that's wonderful. I'll put some details up about that a bit later on, but there we are. So I'm totally in support, having been involved before, and there's just so much there, but it's wonderful. And I'll be talking to quite a few of the speakers over the next few months.
Thank you, Barry.
And of course, the website, we should mention that one.
It's cosmicconsciousness.com.au.
There we are, all one word, cosmicconsciousness.com.au. And it's there. Wonderful website, plenty of details there, the full bit, but I would say, are numbers limited, by the way?
They are, yeah. So, again, just book in, get your seat, because we think that last time we had a sold out event, and we think that we will this year too. So if people are getting that rumbling or that calling, I say, people often feel that they just get called to Uluru. They don't even necessarily know why, but I would say just act on it. Get your ticket, and then the rest usually unfolds anyway. It all just works out how they'll get there, where they're going to stay. It'll unravel.
It falls into place, totally.
Yeah.
Kathryn, wonderful to talk to you. I know it will go well, and have an amazing conference.
Thanks, Barry.
Kathryn Hand. And have a look at the website, cosmicconsciousness.com.au. And if and when you book, don't forget, you can get a discount. Just put in the promo code BARRY, BARRY, all right? And you will get a discount. That's it for this week on Radio Out There. See you next time.